then. Okay, so we had seen various type of things associated with IO interfacing. Now we have to see transmission. Now why we have to see transmission? Because if you see in one PCB, in one embedded system, the data will be transmitted within this embedded system also, from one part of the PCB to the other part. This is one type of data transmission. Another data transmission is also about when you are interfacing with your input output devices. This module is about IO interfacing, input output devices interfacing. So when you are talking to these interfacing input output devices, you are connecting wires to it. Now in all the previous part of this module, you had seen that there are various type of buses, how it is, whether it is 8-bit bus or how things happen. Now you have to see exactly how things are, how the data transmission mode is there. So the serial transmission, parallel transmission, you know these things, but things will come in a little different way now. So serial transmission, you know that bits are transmitted serially, one by one, one by one after the each other. That is serial transmission. Parallel transmission, you know, when the complete data of 8 bit will be uh, transmitted together. So it will have parallel bus. So bus with 8 wires together. So that is called as bus. But when serial transmission happens, it happens with a single wire. In that single wire only, your all the bits will be making a serial, making a queue, and it will be going. So serial transmission means bit is transmitted one after the other on a single wire. And you know that because one by one bit is being transferred, you understand that there will be speed will be less compared to parallel transmission. Parallel transmission, you have 8 bit data transfer, means you will have 8 wire. If you have 16 bit data transfer, it will have 16 wire. So it requires more wire, and parallelly that connection will happen. But you can imagine, of course, the speed will be high. Why? Because in one clock cycle, your 8 bit or 16 bit will transmit. And what will happen in serial transmission? The same 8 bit requires 8 clock cycle to transmit. So that is why serial transmission is not optimized for speed. Parallel transmission is optimized for speed. But apart from speed advantage, there are so many disadvantage of parallel transmission. To start with, it requires more wire, so it is cost per wire is more. Now when you are having more wire, it requires greater area for wiring. And when you have to place so many wire in the IO pins, or when you are connecting these IO pins in your interfaced device, you imagine what will happen inside that device. All the 8 bit data is coming together from a wire or a bus, you can say, to that device. So you should acknowledge, accept those 8 bit data together. So when you are acknowledging and accepting that 8 bit data together, so all that 8 bit data will be transferring further in that IO device. So the complexity of placing those wire and routing those wire increases. So that is why it becomes more complex. It requires more cost. It takes more area. Also, when you are connecting it with, you imagine your pin, uh, those ports when you are connecting. Those ports will also require more pins. So you would have seen no various of your ports, your UART port and all, you would have seen so many pins will be there. Did you count that pin, how many it is? So those pins will take care of parallel transmission only. So it will require more pin, so that port as well as the package in which it is being transferred, that will require more pin, and then it will become more large, and the cost will increase there also. And also when we have talked about various real-time effects, real-time circuit problems, in that we saw that when many wire walk together, we will have crosstalk, and if you do not get enough space in your embedded system, there may be a skew also, and because area is more, there may be delay because of area also. These are other effects. So if you are given a question of comparison of serial transmission and parallel transmission, serial transmission is simple but speed is less, and otherwise it is good only, advantageous only. Parallel transmission, only one advantage of speed, but there are so many disadvantage. But that does not mean that we can't use parallel transmission. So there is something which is called as SERDES, serializer deserializer, in which we serialize and deserialize the data. You all have studied shift register in your digital electronics. You know that how a shift register is used to convert a serial data to parallel and parallel data to serial. You have used it, right? So that serializer and deserializer is uh, serializer and deserializer, those shift registers will be used here. So this shift register is used in you, if you remember, you had used four shift register, when you could convert a 4-bit serial input data to a 4-bit parallel output data. So if I have a 8-bit data here, it will be 8 shift registers will be used, and it will convert your serial data of 8-bit to 8-bit parallel data. So this is converting from serial to parallel. Same way, parallel to serial also, shift register can take parallel data in, but with one output port, all this parallel data will be given out serially. So those shift register will be used here now. So see how does it look like. Now you see this, what is it? What is happening here? This is 64-bit serializer, deserializer. So what you are having here, you have a 64-bit shift register. When you studied in digital electronics, you had only seen for 4-bit serial to parallel, parallel in, parallel out, and all that. But this is 64-bit shift register at transmitter side as well as receiver side. So this transmitter and this receiver can be in a different system. For example, you can imagine that your this transmitter side 64-bit shift register is inside an embedded system, any application, and this is in the IO device. How things will work here? So this is at in the embedded system, this is at in any IO device. So what is happening? You transmitted data. Because you should understand that 64-bit shift register, if I say, in market one type only will come, and that will be used for various purposes, that is ready made by the manufacturer. So here, the for transmitter, the D in data is grounded and transmitted data is connected. Load enable means you are loading the data. As soon as you start your operation here, it will enable your 64-bit shift register, and also it will start your receiver control signal. So when receiver control signal starts, what has to happen? It has to be ready for the data to be received. So it should be in a receiving mode. So once you start, your receiver will also go and tell that data is about to come, you be ready. So the clock of transmitter, receiver, and receiver control all are connected together. So if it is not synchronized, you can imagine that your data will get jumbled up, it will get missed, and so many problem will happen. So serializer and deserializer, all the three clock is synchronous, so that we get the data properly. So you can see here what is happening when a start bit comes. When a start bit comes, serial data will start coming from D0 to D63. Receiver clock enable will be ready for all those time, and once if it is once it is ready, once the data is received, that time a signal will come when it says that receiver is ready again. So this receiver ready signal high means my data is transmitted and now it is ready for the next control or the next transmission. So this is very important, otherwise all our data will be lost, or it will not be in a uh, receivable form or usable form. So what you can see here, the data is transmitted here, the start bit has enabled this, has given a signal for this, so that it makes a receiver chip enable also, and this chip enable you are giving directly to plus V. So what is happening then, your serial data comes here and it keeps on shifting here, and this is a serializer and deserializer. So here the data is converted to serial here, and this serial data if required will be taken out parallel in the output of the receiver side shift register. So this is how 64-bit serializer deserializer works, and it is very very common to be used in varieties of embedded system. So here the, because it is this is specified by the standards, bit order may be arbitrary only if both the ends agree. If both the ends does not agree, bit order will be in serial wise, it will not be arbitrary. But it can be arbitrary only if the technology is made proper at both the end for the same. So that is about your serializer and deserializer. Okay, now when we are transmitting this serial data, there are variety of ways of transmission of this serial data also. Now you will see various types of transmission of data, and this various types of transmission of data is discussed next. First one is non-return to zero transmission, NRZ. You may have heard it before also. This is one type of transmission which is uh, very commonly used. It is used to synchronize. It is used to synchronize transmitter, and it needs to synchronize transmitter and receiver separately. So what happens in this is it set the signal to high and low for each bit time. So what happens is, as you can see, there is no indication of boundary between times, and it does not, the signal does not return to zero anytime. It does not return to zero anytime means it will be, you can see this signal transferring 11001111, and you can see that it is not zero anytime. Okay, so why all this is required? This is required because a synchronization between the transmitter and receiver is important. If that is not there, then we will miss our data and it will be lost. So So in this, what you can see in this diagram, in the waveform, what you can see is this Sonon's NRZ, that is not return to zero serial transmission. The most significant bit is transmitted first, and we can see that no bit when the value on the signal, when there is no bit is there, is then the transmitted value is 0. So in this case, whatever you can see on the screen, we assume in this case that the value of on the signal when no bit is being transmitted, it is 0. So now whether you are transmitting a 0 or whether there is a no signal transmitted, there will be a confusion in this. So if what happens in this case is the 0 bit transmitted is okay. See here, when you have 1 1 0 0, the level of the signal is at some specific level. But when there is no signal transmitted, then it will be 0. 0 means here. This will be the level. This will be the level. And if it is 0, then it will be at this level. So this is the understanding. Then that is why it is called as non-return to 0. So this is one type of the transmission. Okay, next there are various other ways also. Before I go to the start stop bit synchronization, there are various other ways also in which we can synchronize the transmitter and receiver. One of the possibility is we transmit a clock on a separate signal wire. This is one possibility. You people can note this down. The three basic ways when we synchronize transmitter and receiver. One of the way is by transmitting a clock on a separate signal wire. This is number one. Number second one is it is by signaling the start of a serial code word and relying on the receiver to keep track of individual bit intervals. So this is little difficult, but how it is you understand by signaling the start of a serial code word. So if whenever a serial code word is to be transmitted, the start bit is signaled, and then we rely on the receiver to keep track of the individual bit. So this is the common way of doing it with teletypes, where the computer terminals consisting of keyboard and printer connected to a remote computer using serial transmission. If you remember the fax way of transmission, and you used to have no teletypes in which the start used to be indicated, and further the receiver used to take care of the bits how it is coming. And the refined version of such serial transmission is still used to connect some devices to serial communication port on modern PCs. What I am telling about fax and teletypes, these are the earlier type, but still a refined version of this is still used. So now you can see on the screen what is happening in start stop bit synchronization. So it holds the signal high. High means you will understand when there is no data being transmitted, that time signal remains high. So you can see here in this figure, this signal is high. This means here there is no data being transmitted. So when now I am ready for transmission, the start bit is what? This low bit is start bit. So a start bit is sent. That means what? The signal is driven low for 1 bit time. So it will remain high for no data transmission. You are about to transmit data, then you have to send this start bit, and then it is indicates that my data has to be transmitted. Now then this will transmit my successive data bits 11100100, all that it will start. So what you can see now, after that again the signal will be driving high. This will be signal will be driving high, and this this one bit, see, of course, if there is last here is 0, even if there is a 1 here, we understand that after the 8-bit data, finally we drive the signal high for one further bit time to indicate the end of the transmission of the data. This is the stop bit. So this is the another method used for start stop bit synchronization. Why we are doing all this? We are simply talking about various ways of transmitting data by synchronizing transmitter and receiver. So when we have to transmit the next piece of data, again we will be starting with the start bit. Uh, if we are starting to transmit the next piece of data. Otherwise, if we will keep the signal high, if there is no data ready to transmit. At the receiving end, the receiver monitors the logic level on the signal. But when it remains high logic level, the receiver remains idle. It understands that no data is being transmitted. When the receiver detects a low logic level of the start bit, that is the time it prepares to receive the data, and it waits until the middle of the first bit time and shifts the value on the signal into the receiving register, and then it further waits for successive bit times, shifting each bit into the shift register. So this complete data will be available after the last bit is received, because it is serial transmission. No, after the last bit is received, then the complete data will be available. So when a receiver gets this stop bit, so this receiver uses this stop bit time to return to the idle state. So this is about start stop bit synchronization. Now, a very common thing you would have remembered UART. What is UART? It is universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter. So this is a very popular computer component. So the computer component manufacturer provided this component which is used for serial communication ports. So the software on computer could program the bit rate and other parameters. UART is still useful in some application for connecting remote devices to digital system via serial communication links. So, for example, in your instrumentation system with remote sensor that transmit data at relatively low bit rates can use this serial transmission managed by UART. So what you have to understand in UART? It has common IO controller. It has common IO controller for serial transmission using NRZ. NRZ is what you had seen before. So you have understood NRZ, not return to 0, and also you know what is start stop bit. So UART is using both of it, and it depends upon transmitter and receiver clock, and both has to be approximately of the same frequency. So you can see here transmitter clock is there, receiver clock is there, and when the data is transmitted, it is transmitted synchronized with both the clock. So this is about UART. Next is Manchester coding. Again, this Manchester coding is something which you would have heard before also. Now let us see about the Manchester coding. So what is happening in this is it again combines transmitter clock with the transmitter data. So the combining the clock with the transmitter data on the same signal wire. This avoids the need of tight clock synchronization. See, because if a separate wire is going for clock, we need to synchronize the data transmission along with that. But if you are combining a clock with the data on the same signal wire, this avoids the need for tight clock synchronization, since there will be an indication when each bit arrives. So this is the scheme used in Manchester coding. And as in NRZ transmission, same Manchester coding also transmits each bit of data for a given interval. However, rather than representing each bit using one or other logic level, it represents a zero with the transition from high to low to high in the middle of the bit interval, and a one when the transistor from high to low comes. So you have to understand here the bit is understood in a different way. When a change in, you can see in the figure, when when it marks clock changing from low to high, it marks as 1. Low to high, it marks as 1. Now when it has to transmit a 0, the clock will return from 1 to 0. From 1 to 0 means it is transmitting a 0. So this is called as Manchester coding. So you can see when I want to transmit this 0, what is happening? The data is reversing this clock. Data is reversing this clock, and the change is happening low to high. Low to high means 0 is transmitted. Again, when you are transmitting a 0 here, again you can see here it is low to high. Please understand this. It is low to high. Now again, when you have to transmit a 1 here, it is transmitting the data as 1 to 0. So you can see how the clock is synchronized with the data. It is using the clock only to transmit the data. So if the change is happening 1 to 0, means it is transmitting a 1. When it is transmitting a 0, that time it will become 0 to 1. So this is a new method where this Manchester encoding is used for the transmission of data. So you can see the transition is happening in the middle of each bit. See, this is it. The transmission is happening in middle of the each bit. Low to high is 0, high to low is 1. And it also may need a transition of the start bit time, so that it understand and it becomes ready to receive the data. So this is about the Manchester coding. Okay, now clock recovery. This is also one important term which you should understand. Uh, Transmitter sends the preamble before data. You know that start bit. So this is transmitter is sending before sending the data, a preamble before sending the data. And what it may be a sequence of encoded 1 bit, and also whatever we are sending the serial signal, this should match with the transmitter clock. Also you would have heard about phase locked loop. So to whenever the data is being transferred transmitted, and when the receiver receives this acknowledgement that data is about to come from the transmitter, then what does the receiver do is uses a phase locked loop also, where it will lock both the transmitter and receiver clock together with each other to match. And in that phase locked loop timing, the transmitter and receiver data will be locked with each other. So this is another method of all this. Whatever we are discussing now is about the taking care of data transmission by a transmitter and a receiver. Now next will come serial interface standards. There are 4 serial interface standards which you should understand. Of course, it all relates to the same thing, what all you have studied already about NRZ, start stop bit, and Manchester encoding. These 3 things what you have understood now, these will be there in a various interface standards. So interface standards, why it is required? It is required for the connection of IO devices to computers, or any, if not computer, any embedded system. And also it requires the connection of computers to the networks, and we need to use the standard way, so that it reduces the design effort. Again and again, people need not design the way of transmission. We simply follow some standard to reduce our job and to standardize the things. So we can reuse off the shelf component for interfacing. So number 1, RS232, you would have heard this name. It is a very, very common thing, but it is not being used now. And why it is, it was, if you remember, when we used to use modems long back, that time it was originally used. Now it is used for because of its low bandwidth IO. But apart from RS-232, so many standards have come later. This is the most primitive standards. So RS-232 is number one out of four what we will be discussing. So it uses NRZ, it uses start-stop bits, and it is used for its low bandwidth IO interfacing. Low bandwidth. Second one is I2C. It is inter-integrated circuit bus. Inter-integrated circuit bus. It has two wires. It has two wires, one for data, one for clock. So the data will be in non-return to zero fashion, NRZ data, and a second one clock. When I had told you one type of way in which clock and data goes in a separate wire, and it has open drain. What is this open drain? I hope you remember when we were talking about tri-state buses, there was also one method of open drain drivers. So that open drain is used here, and it is having a simple protocol, low cost, and the data speed is 10 kb per second to 3.4 MB per second. This is the data speed. You have heard about I2C. Now the third one is universal serial bus. USB. Very, very common now we are using. We don't use RS-232 much now. We use USB only for anything. So you have seen the USB port will be used to connect so many things to your computer. So this USB is only for the data transmission. Where the data is going and all depends upon your IO device. So this USB is what we have been using for so many things. So it also connects IO device to computer, and it has differential signaling on two wires. Differential signaling means that two wire signal are talking to each other, means there will be some relation between these two signals. So that is how differential signaling is used in USBs. And the data transfer is various values, and it is with a complex protocol which is not discussed in this syllabus, and it has its IP blocks available also. The fourth and the last one what we are having is FireWire. FireWire is IEEE standard 1394. It also has two differential pairs. Two differential pairs for data and for synchronizing the data. And again the speed, you can see the highest is available here, that is 3.2 gigabytes per second, and it has a very, very complex protocol. It is used for very high speed data transfer. You would have seen when you would copy the data through some interface to certain devices, they will give the uh, give the feature that it is very high speed data transfer. So such things will be used by FireWire. So these are the four serial interface standards. In the next class, we will see about how we can use this for interfacing with the Gumnut processor, what we have discussed, and how we use it for our analog devices, and how these connections and all are done. So this is what we will be seeing in the next class.